What's going on, bottom line viewers and NFL bettors? It's Mitch back here with another week of NFL best bets, this time for week 14 of the 2022 NFL season. Last week, pretty average week. We went 3-3 on the show. I'm going to come back at you this week with 6 more picks versus the spread. But before we get started, don't forget to spike the like button and subscribe if you haven't already for weekly NFL best bets here on the channel. Also, let me know in the comment section below your best bet versus the spread for week number 14. Let's kick off our week 14 picks with the Cleveland Browns taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm taking the Browns getting 6 points versus Cincinnati. Look, the public is going to be all over the Bengals this week. And everybody is going to want to bet the Bengals this week. And even I have a little just thought in the back of my mind, should I really be betting against Cincinnati? Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, this offense, the way they are playing right now. But you fall back on the fundamentals. You think about what has just taken place. You think about what Vegas is thinking. And everything makes sense here to take the Browns plus the 6 points. Look, this line is probably a bit inflated because of what I just said. Everyone wants to bet the Bengals. Everybody thinks the Bengals are a juggernaut now. Everybody is placing them in the AFC Championship game. Everyone's putting them atop their power rankings. There's a lot of hype for the Bengals. That being said, the Bengals will also come into this game against Cleveland probably feeling good about themselves after beating the Chiefs at home in a massive marquee game. It's hard not to. It's just human emotion. It's the way we are as beings. And then you throw in Cleveland, a quarterback that nobody likes, including me, a team that nobody wants to cheer for, that nobody even wants to bet on. Nobody wants to cheer for the Browns. So how much is this line inflated because of how much everybody likes Joe Burrow and how many people hate Deshaun Watson? I mean, just that alone. And then you get in the matchup. Well, the Browns destroyed, humiliated the Cincinnati Bengals earlier this year on Monday Night Football. That game was in Cleveland on Halloween. This game is in Cincinnati. But this has been a matchup Joe Burrow has never won. And it's kind of like when Tom Brady has played the Saints. It's been a difficult game for him for whatever reason. It's been a tough matchup in that division. Something about how the Browns play defensively, how Myles Garrett rushes the passer, their corners, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, both cited Denzel Ward as the best corner and the toughest one to face in football. Now he's on the injury report. Hopefully he plays in this game. That would definitely boost the odds. But on top of that, you have Deshaun Watson after a week of getting the rust off, potentially opening things up to make some more big plays down the field to his receivers. A Cincinnati defense that's being hyped up to the moon after their performance against the Chiefs. And you have a running game, Nick Chubb, where he's been really successful in this matchup in the past. I think Stefanski kind of owns Zach Taylor. And I'm not even saying the Browns are going to win and sweep the Bengals this year, but 6 points is just too many in this matchup where the Browns have proven to play the Bengals really, really well, fundamentally. So fundamentally, I will take the Browns plus the points in this game. My second best bet versus the spread for week number 14 is the Carolina Panthers. Plus 3.5. I would have preferred the 4, but plus 3.5 going to Seattle and playing the Seahawks. This is the one I'm probably the least confident in, but this was one that just stood out to me early in the week where I said I like the matchup for Carolina from a football perspective. Yeah, you do got to worry about Sam Darnold in Seattle and the noise and all that, but I haven't been impressed by Seattle. I haven't been impressed by their defense. I haven't been impressed by how they're stopping the run. I haven't been impressed by them trying to contain John Wolford, Tutu Atwell, and these Rams last week. So you look at a Carolina team that has actually played really good football since firing Matt Rule. I believe are at least 500, if not above 500 since that point, with some impressive victories over teams like the Bucs, over teams like Atlanta. They played Baltimore very well. They've been running the ball very well through Foreman. And I believe they'll be able to run all over Seattle in this game, easing the load of Sam Darnold to throw the football. But I think there will be plays to be had off of play action for Sam Darnold due to that running game. That is where you can beat Seattle. Establish that run, hit some big play action plays. Defensively, Carolina is very good. We talk about it every week. They have to play double headers every week. But they've got a strong front seven. They've got a very good pass rusher in Brian Burns, a beast up the middle in Derek Brown, a very good coverage linebacker in Shaq Thompson, and a secondary that can run. And can run with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. And I think that's going to make life difficult for Geno Smith. So I like getting the hook here in this matchup because I think it's going to come down to a field goal. I think Carolina's run game and defense is going to keep them in this game, and it could go either way. I think Carolina is just a better team than people think, and Seattle's a little bit overrated because their defense is not playing up to expectation. Underdog Fantasy has now opened playoff best ball. So if you haven't already, sign up to Underdog Fantasy using my promo code BLV. They will double your first deposit up to $100. It's a great deal, a great offer. And what I love about it is you get to play fantasy a little bit longer. I love fantasy football, don't you? I mean, $10 entry, $100K in prizes through the wild card is what they're calling it. You play in this big tournament and you have the chance for big prizes. Again, guys, use that promo code BLV when you sign up and double your first deposit up to $100. They also have phenomenal pick'ems and player props to check out, as I've showcased before here on the channel. I love Underdog Fantasy. I will always talk about how awesome they are because they are the best fantasy platform, in my opinion, out there. So if you haven't already, and I don't know why you haven't, sign up to Underdog Fantasy and check out Playoff Best Ball. My third best bet for week number 14 is the New York Giants getting 7 versus the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the classic home divisional dog getting a touchdown in a matchup where they're playing a team that just looked unstoppable, looked insurmountable, looked absolutely peak, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. And the week later, after that big, amazing victory, it's time to fade the Eagles. Unfortunately, I look at the Eagles as a dominant team, perhaps the best team in football. They have struggled a little bit with divisional foes, specifically a divisional foe like Washington, who has strong interior defensive linemen who can make the Eagles play outside in instead of inside out offensively. They can push that pocket. And what I like about this matchup for the Giants on defense is Don Martindale's ability to play a mobile quarterback, given his history and knowledge of Lamar Jackson, how they played him earlier this year, how well they effectively blitz those quarterbacks like Lamar. Now you get to see Jalen Hurts here in this matchup. And I think the Giants really have something to prove in this game. I think they're going to be hyped up as underdogs at home in this divisional game. And then on the other side of the ball, you have an offense that Brian Daboll really schemes well. And Daniel Jones will get out in space, and Saquon will have lanes to run. And I could see the Eagles regressing a little bit after a phenomenal performance against Tennessee. But my question is, how much of that performance was, well, the Eagles were at home with that home crowd. Now they're on the road. That helps their pass rush. On top of that, that was playing a Titans offense that has really struggled to run the ball as of late. You look at their numbers, and Tennessee has not been pushing the ball through their running game and Derrick Henry, the king, as we thought they might in that matchup, and that was a miscalculation by me. I look at the Giants and I say, well, I think their running game's a bit better, plus what they can do with their quarterback, plus they find better ways to scheme their receivers open and can make plays. So I think with this divisional game, and the Eagles maybe in a bit of a down spot here, I lean towards getting the touchdown with the Giants as a best bet. Another game that I just think the spread is a bit inflated because of what happened last week. My fourth best bet for week number 14 is the Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday Night Football plus 3.5. Now, this is crucial. If this number is at 3, I'd probably lay off of it. Maybe you sprinkle a bit on the Chargers on the money line. Maybe you play the over. I like the Chargers plus 3 in the hook, which I think you're eventually going to get. It's very close to getting there as we speak on Wednesday night. The Chargers, I think, versus the Dolphins, it's an interesting matchup. I could see it being toe-to-toe shootout, back and forth. But my concern about Miami is Tua is banged up, not practicing. Teron Armstead's probably not going to play left tackle. And then Jalen Waddle is also injured and was waddling himself around that field in San Francisco. I think the Chargers are getting a bit healthier, perhaps getting Mike Williams back, which will only help their explosive passing game. I think the Chargers' ability with Justin Herbert and these receivers to make plays against man coverage down the field is going to be why they stay in this game and probably, maybe, even win it. Miami also is having to go from a very physical game versus the 49ers, very high emotional point, playing the former, mentor of McDaniel with Kyle Shanahan. That was a big game for them. They were in a letdown. Now they have to play another big primetime emotional game. Then they've got the Bills next week, so they're looking ahead to that matchup. It's a really awkward spot for Miami for health reasons, for schedule reasons. Plus, the Chargers need this game if they're going to make the playoffs. So there's a lot of reasons to take the Chargers here. On top of that, the Chargers, I think, are not going to really be threatened by Miami's rushing attack to the degree that they are versus like a team like the Raiders that like to go heavy sets, big fullback in the game, smash you in the face downhill. Miami's more of a kind of pretty outside zone rushing attack. They don't try to get all down and dirty. They like to run a lot of RPOs. They throw the ball. They like to run these quick slants and stuff. I think the Chargers are actually effective in the secondary and pass coverage, and I think they've got the athletes, the speed, and the ability to play decently well against Tyreek Hill and company, especially if Jalen Waddle's not going to play. So I like the Chargers here at the 3 in the hook to keep this to a field goal-ish game, if not win the game at home. My fifth best bet for week number 14 is the New England Patriots on Monday Night Football, going back with my Patriots here on Monday night against the Cardinals. And I'm going to keep this real simple. If you don't want to take this pick, that's perfectly fine. It's my team. I've laid off them for a couple of weeks. But I'm back with the Patriots here for simple reasons. This is a huge game for their playoff chances. They have to win it. They have 10 days of rest coming off Thursday night game. They looked really bad against the Bills because the Bills make them look really bad. Now they play a team that's below average, which they've dominated this year. When they play bad teams, they play well. It's just the way it's been this year. You look at their schedule, and the Cardinals are not a good team. The only real threat they have is Kyler Murray's legs, DeAndre Hopkins, and Marquise Brown. That's it. The defense is average. I think Mac Jones can have a nice day here throwing the ball. I think that they can run the ball. I think they can possess the ball. And I think that their pass rush and their athletes on the edges, Uche and Judon, that actually did a pretty good job against Josh Allen last week, deceptively, will do a great job against Kyler Murray. I look back to the one game they played Kyler Murray back in 2020 with a less than stellar defense. Belichick did a phenomenal job of really stopping him and Cliff Kingsbury. And that's what it comes down to. It's Belichick versus Kingsbury. Who are you going to bet on? I'm going to bet on Belichick, especially in a game where they need to win it to make the playoffs. So I'm going to take New England -1, -1.5 in this game. My sixth and final, let's call it a bonus pick for week number 14, it's the Baltimore Ravens. I really like the Ravens here, again, in a spot where I just feel like the spread moved too much, too unnecessarily. It's an overreaction to, I think, the public's perception of Lamar Jackson being out and also the Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought Pittsburgh, nice, impressive win in Atlanta, but Baltimore is a much more physical team. This is a very low total at about 37, and if this game gets to 3 for Baltimore again, you have to jump on it. At 2.5, I'd still take it because I think 2.5 in this game that could be, a game that's 16-14, a game that's 14-13, like 2.5 is going to be valuable. We just saw the Ravens cover by 1 against Denver last week, so that could still be valuable, but at 3, it's super valuable, so I'd jump on it. The Ravens with Tyler Huntley can still do some things. I think Tyler Huntley is one of the best backups in the league. I think they're really good on defense in this matchup. I don't think the Steelers will be able to run the ball. I think it's going to be difficult for them to throw the ball on the outside, given the Ravens' coverage, their safeties, their corners that they have, and also Roquan Smith in the middle. I think the Ravens could force some murky mistakes out of Kenny Pickett. I also think that the Ravens have a more effective running game, and in this type of defensive matchup between the Steelers and Ravens, which it always is, I tend to lean towards more of that running team. I don't think the Steelers are quite as good as the Ravens in that regard. And I also like the Ravens to put some pressure on Kenny Pickett in this game. So I like this matchup. I just feel like this is a little bit of an overreaction. I think the Ravens are the better team. I think the Ravens come in here, and if this were reversed, I may be on the Steelers, but it's not a Mike Tomlin underdog spot. It's a Mike Tomlin short favorite spot against a better team. So that is what makes me say I like the Ravens here. I think this is an overreaction to Lamar Jackson being out. Give me the Ravens plus 2.5. I love it even more in a teaser. Those are my 6 picks versus the spread for week number 14. Let me know yours in the comments section below. Don't forget to Gronk spike the like button and subscribe. Also, a quick shout out for Underdog Fantasy. Don't forget to sign up right now. They've opened up Playoff Best Ball. It's a $10 entry right now, and there's $100K in prizes. So if you haven't already signed up to Underdog Fantasy, use the promo code BLV, link in the description, also the pinned comment. Check that, guys. It's awesome. I love Underdog Fantasy. I got the hat in the background. Love those guys. Love the product. It's an amazing place to play fantasy football. And best ball, there's nothing like it. So go check it out for the playoffs. Really intriguing setup as you get to play some fantasy deeper into the season when you're maybe out or maybe won your championship already. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's Mitch. Peace.